3, 2, 1, go. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Stringer, and I'm a reporter with the Texan News. And this afternoon, we have the pleasure of speaking with Representative Cody Vasut, who represents House District 25 in the Texas House of Representatives. And we're here at the Republican Party State Convention in San Antonio. Representative Vasut, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
We'll get right into it. One of the constant organizations in the headlines at the Texas House of Representatives all the time is the House Freedom Caucus, which, as I understand it, you're a member of.
I am.
And so maybe if you could give us a little bit of insight as to what does the future of the Freedom Caucus look like? Do y'all have any kind of plans, that sort of stuff? Tell us a little bit about what it is, too.
Well, the Texas House Freedom Caucus is a conservative caucus in the Texas House committed to amplifying the voice of the grassroots. And so what are we primarily focused on right now? It's hearing from the grassroots, and that's why we're here, right? So the grassroots are going to set the legislative priorities and the platform. We're going to hear from them about the issues that they're passionate about. And then our role next session is to be able to push legislation on those issues and a host of other good conservative policy. The Texas Freedom Caucus has passed many of the bills that you've heard about, whether it's our bill to the trigger ban to help get that across the line, the heartbeat bill, election integrity, save women's sports.
Played a big role in constitutional carry and gun rights issues.
Our members are really into the rules, myself, Representative Kane, Representative Hayes, and so pretty much any legislative priority you can think of, we've defended on the floor against points of orders and helped get across the finish line. So that's what we're about.
You mentioned House rules, and from what I understand, that's something that you're a bit of an expert on.
I try.
Or that you like to pay a lot of close attention to anyway.
Sure.
So maybe if you could give us a little bit of an idea, is there anything shaping up now that you're hearing of that might pertain to changes to the House rules in the future? Anything you're working on, hearing, seeing? Give us a little bit of an insight there.
Yeah, so I think that I've always been one to pursue reforms. I mean, every single session I've been in the legislature, I'm one of the few that voted to ban some Democrat chairs my freshman time, and I was pushing really hard for penalties for quorum breakers last session. I think this session we need to take a look at how our committee report rules are interpreted and applied and written. I think that we've had a lot of maybe ticky-tack points of order that have held up some good conservative bills. We saw that with gender mod for several weeks. And so I think we need to have some reforms to the rules. I think there's a large number of members that are interested in reforming the Texas House rules to ensure that members can pass good conservative priorities and be able to pass them quickly and efficiently and effectively without being held up or killed on hyper-technical points of order. So.
You mentioned banning Democrat chairs.
Yeah.
And I think that segues into another issue that
Sure.
I wanted to touch on, and that is the contract with Texas.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
The contract is a document that some of the members have put together, and a lot of new members have signed on to it. I have not. I've been looking at reforms myself, working with another group of legislators to identify what those reforms are, and we've been really pursuing a collaborative process in order to, I think, arrive at a point where we can get a critical mass of legislators to step up and say, you know what, let's end Democrat chairs. Let's have Republicans on our committees. Let's ensure that we can move conservative legislation quickly. Let's ensure that we can have no ticky-tack points of order. And I think that you're going to see a large movement on that. And so we've been doing that regardless of whether the contract's there or not.
Right. Yeah. And you're seeing some of that messaging already kind of going on in the early stages of speaker race, et cetera, et cetera. I want to turn to a little bit about your specialties and your unique expertise. You're an attorney working in oil and gas, which is a big thing for the state of Texas.
Sure.
You also serve on some pretty important committees, jurisprudence, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Could you maybe give us a little bit of an insight? Is there anything in particular that you're keeping your eye on, in relation to your expertise areas there? And then are you seeing anything shape up here at the Republican State Convention that also kind of tie into those issues?
Yeah, I am constantly looking at ways to make sure that we have an effective judiciary in the state of Texas. I think judicial pay is one issue, to make sure that we are attracting good, qualified, conservative lawyers to be judges. We need good judges. Election integrity, I think, goes hand in hand with that, to make sure that we're able to elect good conservative judges. I've got my ear to the ground with the grassroots here. I know there's a group right across from us about judicial accountability. And, I can always say this, like, no one is above the law. Every single one of us need to be accountable to the law, to treat all litigants with respect. And so I think it's always on the table to make sure that we're doing what we need to hold all elected officials accountable. And so I'm interested to see kind of how that issue develops. I'm sure that will come up next session. And, a host of other issues. Just generally, in my mind, it's about making government work, making sure that we have a system where litigants can come in and be treated fairly and to be heard, and as well as to have a good functioning judiciary. I'm a big limited government guy, but I tell you what, the only way that you have private property rights, contract rights, is if those rights can be enforced in court. And so we need to make sure that we have a good judiciary in the state of Texas.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of speaking with Judge Kevin Urey yesterday, and we touched a little bit on the judicial pay issue. So it's definitely something that's been a constant conversation.
Absolutely.
Ever since last year. One last issue, and then I'll let you go get back to convention issues. Border security, of course, is kind of an ongoing topic, especially amongst Republican lawmakers, but I think it's going to be something that we see going into especially the November general elections.
Yes.
Any thoughts there?
Well, this election is consequential. I mean, Senator Cruz says this a lot, and he's right. I mean, this election is one of the most critical, and maybe the next election will be even more critical, but it's because so much is on the line. We got to get, in my opinion, Donald Trump across the finish line so that we can secure our border, get the federal government doing its job. The state of Texas should not have to spend the billions it is to stand in the gap, but we will, because if not the federal government, then we will do the job, right? I would love for the federal government, with a new administration, to step in there and secure the border so that we can then focus our state resources on other areas, important areas like property tax relief, among others, right? And until then, we're going to keep pushing forward with a strong border policy in Texas. Let's establish a border protection unit, a host of other things that I helped, write HB 20 and definitive on points of order. And I think that if we don't have an administration change, then Texas is going to continue to step up its game on securing the border as much as it can.
Representative Vasut, it's always a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.